Have you ever wondered what would happen if a stranger's words completely transformed your life? If you're enjoying this incredible journey, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more life-changing stories that will warm your heart and restore your faith in humanity. Now, let me take you through a tale that will leave you breathless until the very end. Michael Collins wiped the sweat from his brow as he finished his third consecutive shift at the diner. His hands were raw from washing dishes, his back ached from standing all day, but he couldn't afford to turn down extra hours. Not when 7-year-old Emma needed new school shoes and their rent was already 2 weeks overdue. Being a single dad meant there was no safety net, no one to share the burden with, just endless worry and the constant fear of failing the one person who mattered most in his world. He trudged home through the rain, the neon lights of downtown reflecting in puddles as he passed the towering glass buildings where people with real careers worked. People who didn't count pennies or choose between electricity and groceries. The contrast between their world and his felt like a cruel joke some days. Emma was already asleep when he arrived home, Mrs. Patel from next door sitting quietly beside her. The elderly woman waved away his attempt to pay her for babysitting. "You're a good father, Michael," she whispered. "Things will get better." He nodded, though he'd stopped believing in better a long time ago. After Mrs. Patel left, Michael collapsed onto their worn sofa, bills spread across the coffee table like a map of his failures. 3 years since Melissa's death, and he was still drowning. The medical bills from her cancer treatments had wiped out their savings, and the life insurance barely covered the funeral. Now it was just him and Emma against the world, and some days, the world seemed determined to win. The next morning, Michael dropped Emma at school, her pigtails bouncing as she ran to join her friends. "Love you to the moon, Daddy," she called over her shoulder, their daily ritual. "And back again, sunshine," he replied, forcing a smile that disappeared the moment she was out of sight. He arrived at his morning job at Hartwick Tower, where he worked as part of the cleaning staff. The gleaming skyscraper housed Hartwick Industries, one of the city's most prestigious companies, run by reclusive billionaire Alexander Hartwick. Michael had never seen the man in person. Cleaners were invisible to people like that, but today would change everything. Michael was emptying trash bins on the executive floor when the elevator doors opened. A tall man with steel gray hair and piercing blue eyes stepped out, his tailored suit probably worth more than Michael's annual salary. 2 assistants trailed behind him, frantically taking notes as he barked instructions. "I don't care what the board thinks. The Singapore deal closes by Friday or heads will roll," the man said, his voice commanding attention without raising its volume. Michael kept his head down, continuing his work, hoping to remain unnoticed. But fate had other plans. As the man passed, his phone slipped from his pocket, clattering to the floor. Without thinking, Michael picked it up. "Excuse me, sir. You dropped this." Alexander Hartwick turned, his intense gaze landing on Michael with surprise, as if he hadn't expected a cleaner to speak directly to him. He took the phone, studying Michael with unexpected interest. "Thank you," he said, then paused. "You're new here?" "No, sir. I've been working here for almost 2 years." Something flickered across Hartwick's face, perhaps the realization that he'd passed this man hundreds of times without seeing him. "What's your name?" "Michael Collins, sir." Hartwick nodded, then continued toward his office, leaving Michael to wonder about the strange encounter. He didn't have to wonder long. That afternoon, Michael was called to the HR department, his heart pounding with fear. Being fired would be catastrophic. Instead, he was escorted to the top floor, to Alexander Hartwick's private office with its panoramic views of the city. Hartwick dismissed his assistant and gestured for Michael to sit in a leather chair that probably cost more than his car. "Mr. Collins, I've been reviewing your employment file. You work 3 jobs?" Michael shifted uncomfortably. "Yes, sir. Here in the mornings, the public library 3 afternoons a week, and the diner on evenings and weekends. And you're raising a daughter alone." It wasn't a question, but Michael answered anyway. Yes, sir. Emma. She's 7. Hartwick's expression remained unreadable. I have a proposition for you, Mr. Collins. One that could change both our lives. Michael waited, confused by the billionaire's interest in him. I want a baby, Hartwick said bluntly. The statement hung in the air between them. Michael blinked, certain he'd misheard. I'm sorry, what? Hartwick leaned forward. Let me explain. I'm 58 years old. I've built an empire, but I have no heir. My wife died 15 years ago before we could have children. I've recently been diagnosed with a condition that, while not immediately life-threatening, has made me reconsider my legacy. Michael remained silent, still not understanding where this was going. I've been watching you, Mr. Collins. How you interact with the staff, how you speak about your daughter. You're a good man in an impossible situation. I'm proposing to help you, and in return, you help me. I don't understand, sir. I want to adopt a child, but at my age and with my schedule, no agency will consider me a suitable candidate. I need someone who can show me how to be a father, someone who can help me raise a child while I continue to run my company. Hartwick's voice softened slightly. I'm offering you a position as my personal assistant, with a focus on helping me navigate parenthood. The salary would be substantial, enough to give your daughter the life she deserves. Michael's mind reeled. You want me to teach you how to be a father? Yes. And in the process, help me care for a child I hope to adopt. You would live in the guest house on my estate with your daughter. Emma would have access to the best schools, the best health care. Your financial worries would be over. It sounded too good to be true. Why me? Hartwick's expression changed, revealing a glimpse of vulnerability beneath the powerful exterior. Because when you picked up my phone this morning, you looked me in the eye. You weren't intimidated or obsequious. And because I've seen how you treat your daughter, with respect and love, despite your circumstances. Those are qualities I admire. Michael thought of Emma, of the opportunities this could provide her. But he also thought of the strangeness of the arrangement, of uprooting their lives to live in a billionaire's shadow. I need time to think about this, to talk to my daughter. Hartwick nodded. Of course. Take the weekend. But Mr. Collins, this offer won't come again. As Michael left the tower that day, his mind was a storm of possibilities. Could he trust this man? Was this opportunity worth the risk? By the time he picked Emma up from after-school care, he'd decided to at least tell her about it. That night, as they ate macaroni and cheese at their small kitchen table, he broached the subject carefully. Emma, something happened at work today. I met a very important man who made me an unusual offer. Emma twirled her fork in her pasta. What kind of offer, Daddy? He wants us to come live at his house and help him adopt a baby. He would pay me a lot of money, and you could go to a really good school. Emma's eyes widened. Like in Annie? Is he bald like Daddy Warbucks? Michael laughed despite himself. No, he has hair. But he is very rich. Would we still be together? Always, sunshine. That's non-negotiable. Emma considered this with the serious expression she sometimes got, looking so much like her mother that it made Michael's heart ache. Would you be happier, Daddy? You look tired all the time. The simple observation from his 7-year-old daughter nearly broke him. I might be, yes. And you'd have so many opportunities. Then I think we should do it, Emma said decisively. But I want to meet him first. To make sure he's nice. Michael smiled at her wisdom. That's a very good idea. On Monday, Michael informed Hartwick of their conditional acceptance, requesting a meeting with Emma present. The billionaire agreed immediately, inviting them to his estate the following Saturday. The Hartwick mansion was everything Michael had imagined and more, a sprawling property with manicured gardens, a swimming pool, and a view of the ocean in the distance. Emma's eyes were saucers as they drove through the gates, her small hand clutching Michael's tightly. Alexander Hartwick greeted them personally, dressed more casually than Michael had ever seen him in a simple button-down shirt and slacks. He knelt to Emma's level, extending his hand. "You must be Emma. I'm Alex. Thank you for coming to visit my home." Emma studied him with the unfiltered scrutiny only children can get away with. "Do you have any toys?" Hartwick looked momentarily taken aback, then laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his usually stern face. "Not many, I'm afraid. But I have a library full of books, a kitchen that makes excellent cookies, and a garden with a tire swing. Would you like to see?" Emma nodded, and to Michael's surprise, slipped her hand into Hartwick's as they toured the grounds. By the end of the afternoon, Emma was chattering away to the billionaire about her favorite books and showing him how high she could swing. As they prepared to leave, Emma tugged on Hartwick's sleeve. "Mr. Alex, why do you want a baby?" The directness of the question seemed to catch Hartwick off guard. He glanced at Michael, then back at Emma. "Because I've been lonely for a very long time, and I think I'd like to be a father. But I need help learning how." Emma nodded solemnly. "My daddy is the best daddy. He can teach you." On the drive home, Emma fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the excitement. Michael's mind was made up. Despite the strangeness of the situation, he saw something in Hartwick that resonated with him, a loneliness he recognized all too well. 2 weeks later, Michael and Emma moved into the guest house on Hartwick's estate. It was larger than their entire apartment, with sun-filled rooms and a small garden where Emma immediately began planning a flower bed. Michael started his new position, which involved managing Hartwick's personal schedule while also helping him prepare for potential parenthood. The first months were an adjustment for everyone. Hartwick was used to commanding a corporate empire, not negotiating with a child about bedtime stories or healthy snacks. Michael found himself translating the language of childhood for a man who had forgotten what it was like to be young, if he had ever known. Emma, however, thrived. She started at a prestigious private school where her intelligence blossomed. She took swimming lessons in Hartwick's pool and piano lessons on his grand piano. Most surprisingly, she formed a bond with the billionaire, who found himself rearranging business meetings to attend her school performances. 6 months into their arrangement, Hartwick received news that changed everything. A baby girl had been born in a hospital across the city. Her mother, a young woman with no family support, had selected Hartwick's application from the adoption agency. She wanted her daughter to have opportunities she couldn't provide. The day they brought Lily home, Michael watched as Alexander Hartwick, titan of industry, feared businessman, trembled while holding the tiny bundle. "She's so small," he whispered, awe and terror mingling in his voice. "All babies are," Michael said gently. "But they're stronger than they look." That night, as Lily cried for the third time, Hartwick appeared at Michael's door, desperation in his eyes. "I don't know what she needs. I've negotiated billion-dollar deals, but I can't figure out how to comfort one small baby." Michael showed him how to check her diaper, warm her bottle, and hold her close to his heart so she could hear its steady beat. "Babies need to feel safe," he explained. "Everything is new and scary for them." "Like adopting a child at 58, Hartwick murmured, "a rare moment of vulnerability." "Exactly like that," Michael agreed. As weeks turned into months, a routine developed. Michael continued to manage Hartwick's schedule but now included pediatrician appointments and baby swimming classes. Emma appointed herself as Lily's official big sister, reading stories to the infant and helping with bath time. And Hartwick, to everyone's surprise including his own, became increasingly hands-on, insisting on doing night feedings and learning to change diapers despite his initial clumsiness. The household settled into an unconventional family unit. Hartwick began joining them for dinner in the guest house rather than eating alone in his massive dining room. He helped Emma with her homework and listened to Michael's stories about raising a child alone. Slowly, the walls between employer and employee blurred. One evening, as they sat on the patio watching Emma push Lily's stroller around the garden, Hartwick turned to Michael. "I never thanked you properly." "For what?" "For saying yes. For taking a chance on this bizarre arrangement." Hartwick's gaze remained on the girls. "I spent decades building a company, thinking that was what mattered. I was wrong." Michael nodded, understanding completely. Children have a way of rearranging your priorities. "It's not just Lily," Hartwick said quietly. "It's all of this. Having people in my home, in my life. I didn't realize how empty it was before." The confession hung between them, honest and raw. Michael felt a surge of empathy for this man who had everything and nothing at the same time. As Lily's first birthday approached, Hartwick threw himself into planning a celebration. He invited his closest business associates, many of whom were shocked to discover he had adopted a child. The party was elegant but child-friendly, with a professional photographer capturing every moment. During the festivities, Michael overheard one of Hartwick's colleagues speaking to him. "I never pictured you as a family man, Alex. But I have to say, fatherhood suits you." Hartwick's response was immediate. "Best decision I ever made. Though I couldn't have done it without Michael and Emma." Later that night, after the guests had left and the children were asleep, Hartwick invited Michael to his study for a rare glass of scotch. The room was lined with books and awards, testaments to a lifetime of achievement. "I've been thinking," Hartwick said, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. "About the future." Michael waited, sensing something important coming. "I've updated my will. If anything happens to me, I want you to have guardianship of Lily. With financial provisions, of course." Michael nearly choked on his drink. "Alex, that's the right decision," Hartwick finished firmly. "You're the reason I can even call myself a father. There's no one I trust more with her future." The weight of the responsibility settled on Michael's shoulders, but alongside it came a profound sense of belonging. Somehow, in this strange arrangement, he had found not just financial security but a family. As the second year began, their lives fell into a comfortable rhythm. Hartwick restructured his company to allow him more time at home. Michael's role evolved to include managing the household and assisting with Hartwick's philanthropic foundation. Emma excelled in school and developed a passion for science that Hartwick enthusiastically encouraged, setting up a small laboratory in one of the spare rooms. Lily grew from a baby to a toddler, her first steps taken in the garden with all three of them cheering her on. Her first word was Emma, followed closely by Dada, which she used interchangeably for both Michael and Hartwick, causing a confusion that neither man minded. The outside world sometimes struggled to understand their arrangement. At Lily's playgroup, other parents would ask Michael if he was the nanny, or assume Hartwick was his much older partner. They learned to laugh off the confusion, secure in the knowledge that what mattered was the love within their unconventional family. On a warm summer evening, as they celebrated Emma's 10th birthday with a backyard barbecue, Hartwick pulled Michael aside. "I've been offered a chance to expand the company internationally. It would mean traveling to Tokyo for 6 months." Michael felt an unexpected pang at the thought of Hartwick being gone so long. "When would you leave?" "That's just it, I'm not going." Hartwick looked across the lawn where Emma was teaching Lily how to blow bubbles. 10 years ago, I would have jumped at the opportunity. Now, I can't imagine missing 6 months of their lives. The great Alexander Hartwick, turning down a business opportunity? "The board will think you've lost your mind," Michael teased. Hartwick's expression remained serious. "Maybe I have. Or maybe I've finally found it." He hesitated, then added, "I've been thinking about legally changing Lily's name to Collins Hartwick. If you're amenable." The suggestion took Michael's breath away. "Alex, are you sure?"